Hello, Sally Henderson, High Stakes Leadership Mentor. Delighted to be back in your inbox with this month's Mentor in Your Pocket. Now, from what I'm seeing, working with all the wonderful high performance senior teams and leaders that I do, it's still not an easy time out there, is it? You know, the world is still stressful, work is relentless, and leadership is intense at the best of times. There's a lot bubbling under the surface, which is completely understandable. However, if you're looking to be a high performance team especially, leaving important issues unaddressed is just like stoking up Pandora's box, because at some point that lid will explode. So I've been working with clients and coming up with new ways to support them to have uncomfortable truth conversations. And I've designed a method called breaking bread. Now, this is Mentor in Your Pockets. This is going to be a quick fire, practical solution to support you in how to have uncomfortable conversations. But if you'd like to know more, get in touch with me. I'll be delighted to share. But in essence, if you set permission and guidance around how to have uncomfortable conversations, they are by nature a lot easier. Let me give you an example. A client I was working with was going through intense change. And this was pre-pandemic. So didn't even have all that backlog to deal with in terms of emotions, exhaustion, overwhelm, etc., which we must not forget is still very much in our world of work, in our beings. But he wanted to have a way of having really honest conversations efficiently and effectively. So I created for that team, and I use it a lot with other teams now, a concept called the Marmite Stick, which Marmite is very divisive, isn't it? Uncomfortable truths equally can be very divisive. But if you create a concept where you're having a Marmite Stick conversation, and when somebody physically holds a Marmite Stick, whatever you have in your business, and it hasn't got to be physical, but I think the more you live this, the better. The Marmite Stick gives you permission to talk about something you either absolutely love and adore, or something that you really hate, something that's really getting on your wick and it really isn't working from your perspective, either for yourself, for the team, for the business, for clients. The thing about the Marmite Stick is you cannot be vanilla. You cannot be British, very polite and gentle, and spend half a conversation just setting up to have a difficult conversation. You get straight into it. But when it's in the setting of a Marmite Stick conversation, everybody comes knowing that's what you're there to do. To make a Marmite Stick session work really well, suspend judgment. Make a conscious decision to not judge what is shared. Judgment creates defensiveness, fact. Give yourself the mental instruction to be curious and say, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what's behind that. Or curious, where's that coming from? Avoid the word why, because why is pointy finger judgmental, accusational, attacking. What is about opening up for further discussion. And if it's a Marmite Stick session, or whatever name you might come up with, everyone knows you've got to be honest, you've got to be clear, and you've got to be on one side or the other, because you cannot be in the middle. A lot of uncomfortable truths are happening with senior teams because honesty is not being shared, not being spoken about. Yes, you need psychological safety for that. Yes, you need trust, and you need no kind of getting bashed outside the meeting because you were honest. But if you create your own version of the Marmite Stick and you have sessions where you welcome and you react well to honesty, to uncomfortable truths, your business, your team, yourself as a leader is just going to get stronger, more resilient, more capable, and more bonded. But it's all on how you engage, your intentions to why you even want to have uncomfortable truth conversations, and how committed you are to acting on what comes up. But when I see clients embrace this technique, oh my gosh, it's incredible. The teams transform, they transform, and things happen well. But let me come back to where I started, which was around my new concept called breaking bread. Uncomfortable truths are not something you just go and say, should we all get around a table and have a chat about uncomfortable truth, gang? It's time, it's Wednesday. You've got to set them up well. So when I'm doing a breaking bread session with clients, the reason I even called it breaking bread was because the concept of breaking bread is about having that connection, having that tangibility around sharing something honest that's for good. You don't break bread with somebody else to just keep an argument going, do you? You're breaking bread with a view to coming up with a better way. But what you have to do before you break bread as a senior leadership team, what does that even mean to your team? Ask yourselves, ask them, what does it mean to break bread together? To have those really honest conversations. What is an uncomfortable truth? What is it to you? Because for one person, an uncomfortable truth could be someone else's just fantastic direct feedback. So let's work out what that range is in your business. Really importantly, get into emotions. Ask your team, how do you feel if we're going to have a conversation around uncomfortable truths? Because if you air how people feel, instantly there's more relaxation in the room. And ask what agreements people want in place to actually have a productive conversation. Again, buy-in, shared space, shared experience, and the opportunity to have a voice. And then the technique I use, I haven't got the time to take you into that right now, but it's all in the how you share those uncomfortable truths, how you truly break the bread to then come up with an action plan at the end of it. Because you don't want to just break bread, open up all these uncomfortable truths and leave them hanging in the air. So if I can help you to understand what's going on inside your senior leadership team truly at the moment, and what can we get cracking with, what boils need lancing, ugly I know, but true. People have been coping with such a lot, and I am so passionate about getting to meet those teams where I can make a difference, where your teams can be more effective, because that just makes everything else in your business, in your life, easier, and in their lives respectively. So are you tuned in to uncomfortable truths? Do you know what your own are? And are you committed to finding out what's going on truly under the hood of your SLT so that you can be even better equipped to ride out whatever 2023 is about to chuck at us? So we're coming into Q2. There is no more time to waste. I'm here to help. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.